Hey there everybody, and while I'm waiting for the kettle to boil, I decided to make a video. Actually, this was not the easiest video that I wanted to make. Basically because this is something that I loved for a while, and really grew out of, and actually became kind of like ashamed that I used to like it because it had gotten so bad, and that was like wrestling. Uh, Overall, it's a pretty horrible product right now, but I did have some collect some stuff over the years that wrestling wise, mostly a lot of it was given away, and I managed to get some stuff back and some stuff that I just wanted to have. So without further ado, going into my guilty pleasure of wrestling DVDs, which is hopefully not going to take away from my horror cred, but yeah, I was a fan today. I was like I grew up in the Hogan era, which was really kind of cool, the cartoon rock and wrestling thing, and then I got out of it, and then I think I was in college or something, and somebody said to me, you got to turn on TV, or I think I told them, there's somebody that's really irritating. It reminds me of you, and that was the whole DX thing. So yeah, that was me back in the day. Anyway, here are some of the wrestling DVDs that I got that I think are actually worth getting, worth picking up, and for various reasons. I'll let you know. And even if you're not a fan, some of these are cool to know about. So hope you watch this one anyway, even if you're not a wrestling fan. You never broaden your horizons. I may not be the biggest fan of wrestling right now, but I can appreciate it for what it was. And this one is will probably be the newest of the stuff that I knew. It's the Hell in a Cell 3-disc set. And basically, if you watch wrestling, then you know what Hell in a Cell is. It's a cage match basically with a top on it. It's 3 discs, and lots of blood is had. But it's probably most famous because one of the original cage matches, the second one done, second Hell in a Cell match, was The Undertaker and Mankind. This may be like gobbledygook if you don't watch wrestling at all, but or you never have. But The Undertaker is kind of a horror-like character for wrestling, and so was Mankind. He was kind of like this really twisted guy. And so The Undertaker had previously done the first Hell in a Cell with Shawn Michaels, and that had been a huge success. They had put off a really good match, but Mankind was not that type of wrestler. He couldn't put off that type of match, so he wanted to do. There was more stunts, getting thrown off a cage, and accidentally going through the cage, what broke when it wasn't supposed to. And for a few seconds there, I think a lot of them thought that the guy, Mick Foley, that played Mankind was dead. It was a pretty, wasn't supposed to happen. But the match overall was a pretty cool match. And Hell in a Cell don't always deliver, but it's just a fun set to have, and I think I got it for a really, really good price. This is like Canadian wrestler. He doesn't wrestle anymore, but he was one of the ones that I thought was going to be a big superstar. But unfortunately, he just had to stop. But it's Edge, Adam Copeland. When he was going to actually college, university in Western Ontario, that was when I was supposed to go there, but I went to another university instead. So you never know, hey. And again, this is another of their 3-disc sets, and this is basically I'm not sure. I haven't watched this one really. But I think mostly it's just the matches. I don't think it's a documentary. Some of them have documentaries that are incredible. Now this one is like matches from '98 to 2008. So now he's retired, and then he makes movies, which I have not seen any of, but I'm sure they're good. I know he did one of the Highlander movies. He was in one of those. Next up is probably one of the most famous and controversial wrestlers out there, was Shawn Michaels. And this one, it does have a really cool documentary, which is the reason I got this. I'm a huge documentary fan. You watch my videos at all, you know that I love documentaries. And I just finished watching one actually called Downloaded, about Napster. And Shawn Michaels is probably one of the best wrestlers of all time. He can pretty much go any style, but he's also an incredible jackass. But that's usually the way it happens. And if you know about the Montreal Screwjob and all that, then there's talk about that in here, talk about DX, talking about the Rockers, how drugged up and stoned he was, and how he found religion. I guess whatever works for you, right? So it's if you like documentaries, this is actually a pretty damn good documentary. And if you enjoy wrestling, or you kind of like, if you're really, really picky, then you probably enjoy this, because stuff that Shawn Michaels did in the ring was, he always brought his A game. I mean, the guy could be coked out, and he'd come and pull off an amazing match, and just an incredible guy. Now let's have one. Brian Pillman, loose cannon. If you're not a wrestling fan, you probably don't know who Brian Pillman, or Flying Brian Pillman, or the loose cannon Brian Pillman is. But Brian Pillman was one of those best kept secrets. He was one crazy ass dude. Here's a guy that had like something wrong with his throat when he was a child, and then like throat surgery, something like a bunch of throat surgery. And he was like really young. He had a harsh life, and Brian's no longer with us. Sadly, I died in a car accident, and car accident? No, I'm trying to remember. It's been a while now, but this guy here started out. If you know Stone Cold Steve Austin, and I'm probably guessing even if you don't watch wrestling, you've heard of Stone Cold. Stone Cold Steve Austin had a team, a tag team called the Hollywood Blondes, and that was him, and here Brian Pillman and Steve Austin, who was then called Stunning Steve Austin, and it was Hollywood Blondes was kind of like made Austin's career and his like breakup from that and the fallout, and then going over to WWF. Oh no, I'm not calling WWE, screw that shit. And just to becoming, well, no, it didn't work right away. He became the ringmaster, Steve Austin. If you don't remember that, it's probably good. Anyway, next up, the Nature Boy, Ric Flair. And I am another big fan of Nature Boys. This is the 3-disc set, and is this the one that I got the documentary, or is this the one with just the matches? This is the documentary. This is a really good documentary. Ric Flair is quite a character, and he has really lived his role in wrestling full time. I mean, there's some great matches on here with Roddy Piper. If you haven't watched wrestling, you watch some of his movies. I'm sure They Live, Help and Sprogtown, Sting, not the singer, Shawn Michaels, Triple H, Kerry Von Erich, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. Anyway, back in the days that I actually watched wrestling, this was one of the guys that I looked up to. He was, he was the guy. He was the man. Dirtiest player in the game. And because I'm a huge fan of theirs, I got this Ric Flair and the Four Horsemen. It's a documentary about the team that was with Ric Flair, the first really a faction that really made. Before there was a whole NWO or anything like that. There was the Four Horsemen, and this is a 2-disc set. Actually, pretty nice. It's got a great documentary. It talks about every incarnation of the Four Horsemen. It glosses over a certain person in the group because of what happened, but I'll get to that in a little bit. The matches are pretty decent in this one here. I found it fun. I like the documentary. I bought it for the documentary, and I'll be honest, I haven't watched all the matches. On a lot of these, I will watch the documentary, and I'll go back and I'll watch a couple matches, and every once in a while, maybe if I'm in the mood to watch something like that. It doesn't happen a lot now. Sad to say, I've watched not a lot of wrestling. I do watch TNA every once in a while. That's the one good wrestling company that I used to find. And, so the price tag. I paid $9.99 for this one. It was actually a really good price. It's the Complete Anthology WrestleMania Volume 4. And there's a couple of volumes there. But there's a reason at the time I wanted Volume 4, and this has 5 WrestleManias. So it has WrestleMania 2000, which was pretty horrible, WrestleMania X7, WrestleMania X8, WrestleMania X9, and WrestleMania 20. So 2000 had the Triangle Ladder match with Edge, Christian, Dudley Boyz, and Hardy Boyz, and that's one of the reasons I bought this one here. Along with the Chris Jericho versus Chris Benoit versus Kurt Angle match. A lot of those matches you don't get nowadays because certain wrestler that I'm going to be coming up talking about has unfortunately tarnished his name beyond repair. 5 WrestleManias, 5 discs, pretty cool stuff. And because I'm a fan of them, they haven't put out a lot of really great DVDs, not that I've seen anyway, but this is the one that I had that I kept. The History of TNA, Year 1. Unfortunately, there's been no Year 2 or Year 3 histories done, which would have been really, really fun to have, kind of like a year-by-year thing. I'm hoping that they do that down the road. They just do it on Blu-ray. Come on, man. It's a good documentary. There's some great stuff. It's like 3.5 hours long. And aside from having some really cool stuff talking about how the company grew, how the first night he got out there, the ring collapsed, and then he went on anyway. AJ Styles is probably the best wrestler that I can think about right now in wrestling. That he can pretty much do anything. Groundwork, high flyer, the guy can go. He's about as good as it gets in wrestling right now. And yeah, I know if you do watch wrestling and you watch the WWE and you've seen CM Punk and all those guys, no, I'm sorry. AJ Styles is better. Tough. Learn to live with it. This was a hard watch because this is a find, and I'm sure you know who this is. Chris Benoit was an idol of mine when I was growing up. He was a Canadian wrestler. See the set, who epitomized the whole gentleman wrestling. He was one of the best. And this is the documentary that was done. Probably shortly before it happens, but 6 hours long. It's got 4 hours. It's a 2 hour long documentary. It's got 4 hours of like DVD extras. Great matches, and I wanted to have it, but honestly, it's been hard to sit down and watch it. Chris Benoit, as I'm sure you're aware, is the wrestler that was supposed to be at a pay-per-view, and he called in sick, texted in, and they found him over the weekend. He committed suicide. He had murdered his wife and his young son. His wife had been murdered first, and his son had been murdered a day later, and then he committed suicide. Apparently, they said that from the wrestling, the chair shots, the big headbutt he used to do off the top rope for one of his signature moves, his brain was like that of a 9-year-old man with dementia. It made it hard to watch after that. And when I do watch some with my my better half now, then we watch we're watching the what was it, the Elimination Chamber matches, and we got there and we got up to the one with Chris Benoit, and I was a real big Chris Benoit fan, and just that shadow, what had happened, it bothered me, and I turned the match off. I couldn't watch it. And that was pretty much me with wrestling. But anyway, I'm a horror fan, but that's one of my guilty pleasures. I used to watch a lot of wrestling, and I wanted to talk to you guys about it and some of the stuff I had, and hopefully it wasn't too boring. I did have another set here. WrestleMania 1. Ric Flair's retirement match. But anyway, thanks for watching. The kettle's boiled, and it's time for tea.